Hello, everyone, my beautiful rainbow people. Welcome back to the Podsmokers Bible. My name is Zion. I'm the author of the Podsmokers Bible, which contains the prophetic book of Zion, where I get my name and authority. It comes from the Ketuvim, or Old Testament, of the Hebrew Bible. I use the King James Version of the Christian Bible to put together the prophecy of Israel from the scattered testimony of the various Old Testament prophets. It became the book of Zion. I found contained within it a set of instructions which I was uniquely qualified to undertake, and so I did. That made me the prophet from the 54th chapter of the book of Isaiah. And the final thing that I was supposed to do in order to become Zion is to publish peace, which I've been doing on social media and on YouTube for the last year. And I'm finishing up the second to last chapter of the book of the Podsmokers Bible today. So I'm going to take up where I left off. It goes like this. When we come out of our arks, we will have to first clean up the remains of those who rejected the great priesthood. We will bury them and release their souls to be reborn as karma dictates. It is very important that we honor those who did not survive. By doing so, we cleanse the earth both psychically and physically. Only then will we be assured of a peaceful future, devoid of the negative effects of global destruction. Once we have put the past behind us, we will create a new society with the help of our creator gods. The entire planet will go through an evolutionary change as the parents of other sentient beings on Earth are reunited with their infant children. Many of our lower life forms are in reality infant forms of advanced species, as depicted by Egyptian hieroglyphs. Those humanoids with animal features are sentient races with offspring here on Earth. Their races once had so-called hybrid children on Earth. These so-called lower life forms aren't lower at all. The wars that occurred during the flood were between species. The children of the non-human races were just as guilty as the humans. It was decided that after the flood, humans had original claim to the earth and would evolve fully before the latter races would be allowed to evolve. Their animal DNA was blocked in the infant or juvenile state. Due to interspecies warfare, the non-human sentient population moved off-world, and an infantile life form was created to preserve the genetic material. The reason that our children will be able to play with an asp or a snake is because the snake will be as sentient as we are. They will be creatures who value lives of others, especially sentient beings, and therefore they will protect, not attack, the child. The ascension of other life forms on Earth will create an entirely new society on Earth. Our future will look a lot like the Egyptian imagery, with bipedal humanoid animals walking around with humans. It is predicted that this new heaven and new earth will never know war. Our children will live a Star Trek-like life in a society that is diverse as it is endless. We have a very bright future ahead of us. But in order for us to enjoy it and to pass it down to our children and to every exceeding generation, we must create it first. We must save ourselves so that we can live our beautiful life. So ends the 30th chapter of the Podsmokers Bible. And the next chapter, the 31st chapter, is also very short, and it is the final chapter of the book of Zion. And with it, I'm going to be ending my readings. I figured that 2 copies online and on social media is more than enough. I will be, of course, referencing the Book of Zion and the Podsmokers Bible in the future, in my future program. But I'm not going to actually do the readings again Because if you're interested enough in what I'm doing, you'll go back in the feed and you'll find the beginning. And if you do that, that will put you at 420 in the year 2020. Now, I want you to understand a very interesting thing about my books. I wrote the Pot Smoker's Bible in order to publish the Book of Zion. Neither book, it's kind of like the Bible. Neither book really stands by itself. Because the Pot Smoker's Bible actually contains the prophecy of Israel, the Book of Zion, as well as the Book of Zion itself, which is a separate entity. Now, the Book of Zion itself is entirely prophetic. It's not written by me. It was written by the prophets of Israel in their own words, using their own testimony from this very Bible right here. It is, oops, don't want to have it upside down like Trump did. As you can see, it contains my prison number because it was given to me as a gift from while I was in prison. And I had lost the original copy of the Book of Zion when I went to prison. So of course they didn't allow me to bring it into the prison with me, of course. So I had to rewrite it while I was in prison. So the actual final version of the Book of Zion was written in my prison cell while Donald J. Trump was running for office. He was elected into office the year that I was released from prison. And so I was in the process of publishing peace while Trump was ruining America, all according to God's plan, which I've just shown you in this final chapter, where God would put this base and immoral man into a leading position in order to undermine the social order. Because he, in his baseness, would force everyone to choose between his baseness and an evolutionary shift into a more righteous society. Because he represents that which is the status quo. Money, politics, government, policing, all of that. That's Trump. But his people actually want something different. They rebelled against the status quo with this base immoral person from the status quo. Why? Because they did not have an alternative. I am the alternative. Sent directly from God to show you how it's actually supposed to be. So that we can actually continue the fulfillment of prophecy. Make the righteous people stand for the righteousness. And let the base immoral people who are Donald J. Trump and everybody who follows him go the way of the dodo. Bye-bye. You won't be saved. Because the only true salvation comes from above. Spoiler alert, Jesus doesn't come from above. Jesus can't save you. I know this. I spent 9 months crying to him for salvation. Guess what I got? Nothing. Jesus is an idol. With no power, no authority, he cannot save you. But the Grey can. They sent this book through history in order to give me the means to prove to the entire world that I am who I say I am. I'm doing what I say I'm doing, and there's nothing to be done about it. You either believe me and be saved by the Grey and yourselves, or you pretend to know what this book says, follow your stupid fable of Jesus Christ, and end up frying in hell. Now remember, hell is not a place you go after you die. It's a day, a date on a calendar. The day the methane in our atmosphere goes and everybody fries. That's what this book predicts. And if your preacher tells you anything but that, he's a fool. And the cross that you bow to every Sunday is an idol. Ask Isaiah. So this is the Bible. This is the prophet foretold in the Bible. And everybody else is an idiot. Shocking, is it not? But if you want to find out if it's true or not, I suggest you read this book. But because I don't want to bore you or steep you in a bunch of history that's not relevant until later on, I suggest that you start with the book of Psalms. Because the book of Psalms is a book of poetry written by King David and other musicians. And every pothead on the planet knows how important musicians are, how their words are inspired from wherever inspiration comes from. And just as rock music is inspired by the Gray, so were the Psalms. So if you start at Psalms, then you get a feel for what God is doing. Because you will find the oppression of the drug user is so felt in the Psalms. Everything about David's journey from Saul is the war on drugs. And his joy in God is the same as we get from our drugs. So start at Psalms and read to Malachi. Because that tells you what is happening now. It's projection, it's future, it's possibilities, probabilities. But it's very relevant and it's very real. And if you read the book of Zion and the prophecy, and you realize that I finished the Pot Smoker's Bible in February of 2020, and I started publishing that book, along with the prophecy of Israel and the book of Zion, on 4/20/2020, before George Floyd's death. But yet George Floyd's death is part of the prophecy. And everything that happened with Black Lives Matter is part of the prophecy. And it all leads to Zion. So, for the last 4,000 years, God has been diligently leading us to this day. The day that we go on our great big camp out. The day that we follow in the footsteps of Israel and Moses and walk away from America. And that is exactly what we're in the middle of doing. Glorious of all gloriousness. Everything is set and staged, ready for my big appearance. Trump is teetering on the edge of falling, and he's about to make a big fall, and we're gonna laugh our asses off at him, just as the prophecy foretells. I'm already laughing at him, because while that man ends up in chains, me and my beautiful rainbow people go to our tents, and we have a great big party. And then the Gray join the party. So may the Gray watch over you, guide you, protect you, keep you from all harm, teach you right from wrong, and may you be worthy of them. May your thoughts, words, and deeds reflect truth, good, and light, the unicorn way. Find your joy and pursue it, and make that your guilt choice when we go to Camp Zion. And if you use drugs, stay happy and high. You have every right and reason to. Believe me, I know. I wrote 2 books about it. I am the Zion of the Most High God of Israel. the prophet foretold in the 54th chapter of the book of Isaiah. If you don't believe me, I don't care. Because it's not my job to make you believe. It's my job to give you the choice. Come with me and live, or die trying to kill me. So, I'm going to say later now, because I never say goodbye.